Hey guys, it's Adam here with RC Logger, and once again, welcome back to my workbench. For today's video, I'm going to show you how to install the Illumination Night Flying Kit on the NovaX 350. First and foremost, I want to go ahead and go through the package itself. Obviously, we open our box up. I have a series of components in here. The first one, these are actually LED protectors. These are going to slide over top of the LED and the lower support of the arm of the NovaX to protect them. The next item we have here is the actual controller itself. This controller will install between the flight control board and the power control board of the NovaX. And then I have the LEDs themselves. We have two red strips and two black strips, obviously. So when they're not on, they still kind of blend in with the frame, which is kind of a cool look. So those are the three components. For tools, the only thing you're going to need actually are two tools. You're going to need a pair of snips. I have my trusty handy dandy rusty snips with me. And then I also have a pair of pliers or tweezers. If you have some tweezers, some nice tweezers or needle nose pliers will work as well. So that pretty much covers the components and the tools. Once I come back, we're going to show you how to disassemble the Nova and get it ready to receive the LEDs. Okay, so I have my NovaX here and I have already removed my propellers. Safety first, as always. There's a couple preparing things that we need to do in order to get ready to install our LED light kit. First and foremost, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect my antenna wires that are held on by these zip ties. So I'm going to snip them. The reason I'm doing this is my LEDs are going to end up laying on these lower support bars, and they won't lay right if I have my antenna wire in the way. So I'm going to remove those. Careful not to clip your wire. Cool. That takes care of that. Next thing I'm going to do is remove my canopy. Two little wires here. Okay. And then I have my canopy wire here that connects to the flight control board. I'm going to disconnect that from the flight control board. Just hold a couple fingers in place. Be nice and gentle on the connector so you don't break anything. And then I'm going to also take the ESCs. This is kind of hard to show, so I'm going to do the best I can. The ESCs are held in by ESC holders. But I need to pass my wires for my LED kit up and through this arm support. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take these and I'm going to push them out of the way, out of their support holder, and that's going to give me the clearance I need to pass my wires up and through. Now I don't need to disconnect anything, I just kind of want to separate them, and let's see if I can get a close-up of that. See, it's kind of floating in here. This is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to do that to all four ESCs, and then when I get done with my install, I'm going to pop them back into place. But I just want to give myself plenty of room to work because the LEDs are going to pass through this area. So I'm just slowly and carefully going through and just kind of pushing them out of the way. And now that I've got them out of the way, I'm pretty much ready to begin installing my LED strips. So there are 4 strips, and I'm going to start. There we go. 4 strips. I'm going to start with the black one here, and that's what they look like. Now there's some 3M adhesive on the back here, and if you notice this wire, it's kind of a unique look here. You want to make sure you don't really crease this. These can bend and fold, but you definitely don't want to crease them. If you crease them, you're going to break some of the traces inside there, and that's not going to end up well for you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to feed these up and through the support area here. And this looks kind of crazy, I know, but this is actually how this is going to go through here. You're going to go through the bottom area. Let's make sure we can get that. It might be a little bit easier when I show you the red ones. You're going to go through the bottom area, and it's the LED. Well, let's make sure I'm not hitting any wires. The LED is going to come back up through the top area. This part is probably the most tedious part of the entire installation process. The nice thing is I have my handy dandy tweezers here, and I can reach through the upper area and kind of use them as a guide to pull my wire through. So I'm basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go around this plate. Now another thing that might be helpful for you is to actually take the flight controller. either off or open it up. And in order to do that, I'm just going to use my tweezers and push down on these 3 little rubber dampeners that the flight control board floats on. Because eventually I'm going to need to get in here and connect my LED. Keep in mind you're going to need this plastic plate later. I'm going to need to get in here and connect my LED. So I have one here. That's cool. And I'm just going to, once I get it in place, basically going to carefully flip the unit over. I'm going to remove my 3M adhesive, and I'm going to line my strip up where I want it. So once I see visually where I want my strip to sit, which is pretty much right here, I'm going to then take the 3M backing off. Maybe. Oh, use my handy dandy snip, my tweezers here to grab that. Now this is really strong, good, durable 3M backing, so it might take a little bit of perseverance to get it started. Almost got him. And this might very well happen to you, so I'm going to let it roll here. You know what else helps if you don't bite your fingernails? Alright, there we go. Got it started. Got it peeled off. Now I'm just going to fold it over and I'm going to attach it right to the lower strut. And you'll know you've got it right if you have the end of the LED butted up against to the bottom of the motor mount. That's pretty much going to give you the perfect alignment. Now my wire is actually just kind of floating here, and I'm going to repeat the same step for the next 3 LEDs. One of the things also you can do is once you get your LED wire passed up and through, you can actually go ahead and reinstall the ESC, re-snap it into the ESC holder. I'm going to do that now. Just kind of take your time and just put it into place. Don't force things, just be patient. Definitely don't want to crimp that wire as I mentioned earlier. Let's line that wire up. There we go. Alright, and boom, there it goes. Snapped right back into place. Now I've got my wire laying here, and that's a good thing. That's what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the next 3. And then basically I'm going to have all these wires coming up to this point, and then what we'll do is we'll mount the LED board, and then I'll go from there. So I know I said I'd come back when these were all done, but I really want to emphasize the importance of how you route this particular wire. I was thinking about it, and there's a couple of easier ways to do things. The LED you will have basically starting up through this side, because I'm trying to gauge on which direction these go when they're all folded over. So this is going to look like this. So the idea here is that this wire will fold up and around the top of the arm like so. And that's fine, but you have to remember which side you start with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually flip this guy over. So I'm looking at the LED so they're facing up and they're next to the motor arm like this. And by the time I get this right, this is going to fold under and clamp to, and that's how it should go. The other thing I wanted to do is I really wanted to point out, it is a little tedious to feed this wire up and through. You really want to make sure all your other wires are out of the way. And what I look for is just the shiny piece to show through the upper portion. And once I see that shiny piece of the connector, I'm going to go ahead and use my needle nose pliers, whoops, or my, in this case I have tweezers, to kind of grab that wire carefully and pull it up through. Now you can come out of this hole, and you're going to have to go back through it to go around the carbon fiber plate that's there. So I have some wires that are here too, so I need to be aware of those. And if I can't get my lead to feed through, then I'm just going to go kind of around them, because there's some flexibility here with this piece. So you're basically going under, over, and through with this wire trace. So that's pretty important to point out. And then this is just going to fold around again. And let's see if I can do this 3M a little bit faster this time without fighting at this adhesive. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out to you guys because that's kind of the most tricky, difficult part of the LED install is feeding that, that flat wire through those slots. The trick is to just not get frustrated. Make sure you have plenty of clearance, and then obviously you will succeed. So, okay, so I've got that other one on there. Now I've done 2 of them. I feel a little bit better about things, clarifying and showing you guys how this is going to go. So I'm going to run the other 2 without the camera on, and then when I come back, we'll go into installing the LED board. Okay, as you can see, I have my LED strips installed on my lower support arms. All 4 of them are there, black and red, so they all match up, color corded. And then I have them all passed through the motor arm mounts, and they're sitting here loose. So the next thing I want to do is connect them to my LED main control board. The LED main control board, for orientation purposes, to line it up, there is a connector here that is going to connect to the connector on the power control board. And this hole is actually going to go right over top of this bumper ball and sit between it. So also you're going to notice there is some 3M sticky backed adhesive pieces to fully secure it to the power control board. Let's see, I think I want to do it like this. I think I want to pull these pieces off now, because I'm going to flip this thing over and start connecting the wires. And once I do that, I'm not going to be able to get in there to get to these pieces. So I'm going to take the sticky off. I'm sorry, the backing to expose the sticky. There we go. And I want to show you something. This is pretty cool too. The connectors will actually fit into these 4 connector slots. And the way these work is these actually slide out a little bit. And then once you put the connector in, you push them closed and they clamp the connector tight so it can't come loose. So for orientation purposes, this is going to look like this. This is how this board is going to sit. And I'm going to start with connecting the back one. So I'm just going to line it up. I'm going to pull the tab out on the connector holder. I'm going to slide the lead in, and then I'm going to close the tab. And when I do that, it pinches that wire in there real nice and snug and holds it straight and sturdy. So you don't have to worry about it coming back out. Now I'm going to kind of flip this board over, and I'm going to do the other ones just like I did that one. Pull the connector out, pull the connector, secure clamp out. I'm going to slide the connector in and push the clamp tight again. So let's do that again over here. Pull this guy out. I have my connector. Slide it back in. And close it. And do this last one. So now it's kind of like spider-legged. It's kind of hanging out like that. Alright, let's talk about the routing of the red wires. I have these red wires going between the bumper, the rubber bumper, and the connector for the driver of the ESC. So they're going to actually pass right through there. You're going to have a little bit of slack, and that's okay. So now I have my sticky tape exposed. Sorry about that. And then I also have my connector ready to be connected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly and carefully push down on this guy and snap my connector into place. Give another push to secure my sticky foam. And then I'm going to go ahead and snug my wires down like so. Now if you have a little bit of like curled up wire back here for these black connectors, I noticed they were just a little bit longer. You can just go ahead and kind of push them down, and they'll kind of fold in on themselves and sit underneath this motor arm mount. So basically this is how the final thing will look. And what I want to do now is I want to close this guy back up. So I'm going to first reinstall my plastic separation piece. It's just going to sit there flat and loose. Then I'm going to flip my flight control board back over and go through the fun part of reinstalling the bumpers through these holes. This is a little bit tedious, just takes a little bit of patience. I always do the front 2 first and then the back one in the middle later. I'm going to use my trusty handy dandy needle nose, and I'm kind of doing this backwards because I want to show you guys, so this might take me a little bit longer. But basically I'm kind of offsetting my bumper, and I'm very carefully grabbing it with my tweezers to get it started up through here. And like I said, I'm doing this backwards, so bear with me 1 second. But essentially what we want to do is reinstall these guys and if you use your fingers, that also works, is reinstall these guys through the holes without pulling them out of the bottom holes that they're secured in. And a couple flips, and there we go, there's one. One of the things I want to point out too is that some of your flat ribbon cables may look a little bit different. They're going to have a piece of tape over them, securing them better than this particular flat ribbon cable is. So keep that in mind also. If you do not have that piece of tape there, that's okay too. You probably have a piece of glue, of super glue, and I don't have that either because I've been doing some work on this unit on and off, and it's just what it is for the purpose of this video. It's pretty important for me to tell you that though. So let's try to get this other one and quit using word fill on this part I'm struggling with. Let's be honest, there's nothing easy about this. You probably will find a better way than I will, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to go through this together and I'll show you why. Okay, get him started. There we go. And the last guy, he's a little bit tricky. I'm going to reach to the center of the hole. Be careful you don't damage your flight control board with your tweezers when fighting this last one through. Okay, so now I have my 3 bumpers secured. My board is floating. That's really important. Make sure that your board is floating around. If there's any wires from your LED kit that are hitting this board and preventing it from floating around, you need to tuck them in better. Also, make sure none of your other wires, your speed controller wires or your power and ground wires are touching that flight control board either. So essentially, we have installed our LED control board. We've closed our flight control board back up. We need to reinstall our canopy, and we are more or less done under the hood. Be careful when installing this canopy wire. Don't put too much pressure on things. Make sure all the slots are lined up correctly and re-secure your canopy. Okay, now it's time to install my plastic LED covers. These are flexible, but they're pretty rigid. There's a pretty cool way of getting them started. Basically, I'm going to grab the bottom closest to the motor arm. And one of the things I want to point out is you're going to have a small piece of 3M backed adhesive here. You just pull the backing off and that'll help secure the LED cover as well. So I'm going to open this up and start with the bottom. Just get it started like so. Then I'm going to actually install my receiver wire. I'm going to thread it down through or open it up. It just depends on how well this goes. So I'm going to thread it down through the top of my cover. Hold everything in place. I'm going to pull back with my fingers and push down at the same time. There we go. Give that guy a little bit of movement here so the wire isn't sitting right over top of the LED. Just takes a little finicking. Voila. Okay, so that's fine if it crosses over. You just don't want it sitting directly over top of the LED. And you can trap the receiver wire in between the arm and the protective cover, which is kind of cool. So that should be helpful. You won't need to re-zip tie it down. We're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to start by opening this guy up, setting him in place, and then I'm just going to feed my receiver wire down through the channel again, like so. Cool, cool. Kind of get them off to the side. And at the same time, like I said, you just want to pull back with the strip and use your thumb, some pressure from your thumb, to set it in place, like so. Cool, cool. So now I got both of those in place. I can move on and do the other two. And now my receiver wires are secured. Oh, there we go. Back into the frame here. Receiver wires are secured. Just put it on, bend back, push down with your thumb, and snap them into place. So that pretty much takes care. Oh, let's do this last guy. Pretty much takes care of how you install the LEDs. There we go. Get that last guy on there. just like so. And I'm just going to run a quick battery check here just to make sure they all light up. By default, the first time you power these on, they will light up white just like so. So essentially, you have your LEDs completely installed. So just as a quick teaser, here's an idea of how the LED kit is going to look and how the iControl app looks as well. That pretty much takes care of everything. If you guys have any questions, you can find us at support@rclogger.com. Once again, my name's Adam. Thanks for watching.